All right, weekend NWSL action. We've got games going Friday through Saturday this upcoming weekend. We've got Houston Dash versus Orlando Pride Friday, kicking off at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Portland Thorns versus Angel City Friday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, and then Saturday is a quadruple header. Chicago versus OL Reign at 3 p.m. Eastern. Gotham FC versus Washington Spirit at 7 p.m. Eastern. Racing Louisville versus North Carolina Courage at 8 p.m. Eastern. And Kansas City Current versus San Diego Wave at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go through all these for you so you know which ones you want to keep a close eye on. Let's start with Friday's games. We've got Houston Dash versus Orlando Pride. Elisa, who are you picking in this one and why?
I love this matchup between Houston and Orlando. Both teams are scoring goals this year and getting them in crazy ways. For Orlando, they're coming off of a 2-2 draw with Washington, where they got both of their goals in the stoppage time. So 95th minute and the 97th minute. There's something about fight till the end for Orlando that they have. And when you look at a side like Houston Dash, frankly, they have a player like Rachel Daly that just has so much fight in her individually that she can carry an entire team. Between these two sides, though, they need wins. I mean, when you look at them in the standings, Orlando, they need to get on the winning side of they're 2-2-2, and they just got to get some wins under their belt. And this is an opportunity against Houston to do that. Can Orlando score early? Can they hold a lead in this match? Can they continue to battle? I mean, these two sides, I like this matchup, frankly. I like this matchup a lot. I could see it ending in a draw, but I don't want to say that. I'm not going to start off Friday in the evening with a draw. I'm not going to say that. I think I give this win to Houston in this matchup. Houston's a team that also needs to get a win under them. They're coming off a 1-1 draw over North Carolina last weekend. But this is a good matchup, and Houston playing at home, they have the upper hand over Orlando. I give the win to Houston in this one. Who do you have between Rachel Daly and the Sydney Leroux of it all?
You know what? That's I think that's a matchup that folks are going to be keeping an eye on, right? We don't have we're doing this live with everybody on a Thursday, so something like availability reports aren't released quite yet. So we're sort of going in blind in terms of players that might actually be available in this one. But in the event that it's a pretty clean slate for all teams involved, I think folks are going to be keeping an eye on that when you're looking at a daily for Houston, or if you're looking for a LaRue in Orlando. I'm with you as well. I think that for Houston, they want to get in there and put a good result together and maybe get a win at home for their fans. They've been putting up some decent attendances that we've been seeing in the couple games that they've had, but they've yet to be able to come out and deliver a victory at home. But that's even with saying that, they've been incredibly competitive in the couple fixtures that they've had out in Houston. And at PNC Stadium, they always kind of, they try to put together these good results, but they've got that opening loss against San Diego and the draw against North Carolina. So within that, still a lot of competitive football that we've been seeing from Houston. So I'm also kind of leaning more towards them. This is a game that I thought maybe I'd go back and forth with. I think there are some players on each side that have a little bit more familiarity with the respective opposition, but mostly there are a handful of players who are new to this sort of closer rivalry between Orlando and Houston. So with players on the Houston side of things, like having Vigiano now as a midfield option who used to be with the Pride, somebody like Maria Sanchez, who has been an incredible asset for this team in their pickup in the offseason. It's making me lean a little bit more towards Houston Dash in this one. I'm a little bit concerned that maybe it's going to be a draw, but I don't want to use my draw this early.
That's how I thought. That's how I felt too.
I don't want to use my draw this early in the picks on the show. So I think it might be narrow. I think it might be a narrow scoreline.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pick a winner, and I'm also going to go Dash in this one as well.
Oh, I like that. So narrow, like 1-0.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to like who's gonna get that quick break. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's in these very specific moments of the game. That's something else that we've been seeing from these two sides. Like seeing Daly get that equalizer in stoppage time of the first half, or Darian Jenkins, snatching that win away from the Spirit late in stoppage time. It's gonna happen in these very curious moments of a match. I wouldn't be surprised if the game winner or the breakthrough kind of comes through in an area like that. So I'm going Houston as well in this
I
one.
love that. So we have some people in the chat talking about how it's really hard for players in Orlando or Floridians to go to
Okay.
Houston and
Yeah.
play in the rain or anything like that. There is a little bit of precipitation tomorrow
Hey,
in Houston, Texas, 40% in
listen.
the evening. So there is a chance of showers for this match, but I
Oh
mean,
wow.
90 degrees, like 60% humidity, isolated thunderstorms Friday in Houston. So that could change things. I think it gives the advantage to Houston,
We're gonna we're
not
gonna keep an eye on
Orlando.
it for sure. I mean, if there's a ton of rain like that, then it might be it might lead to some surprises in front of goal for sure. But I think I'm
I
comfortable
love a
staying with
rain game.
yeah,
I'm
I'm comfortable staying with
pushing for a
Houston.
rain game now.
Oh no, 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 no. If it's gonna be rain, just rain. No lightning or stoppages or anything like
Exactly,
that.
just rain.
We'll see. Next one for Friday, it's going to be Portland Thorns versus Angel City. A couple teams with some familiarity around each other, having faced one another during the Challenge Cup group stage. Angel City handing Portland that loss in the end of group stage, sort of eliminating them from contention and defending their Challenge Cup title. When we're looking at these two, so we've got Portland Thorns coming off of that 2-2 draw against Chicago, and now facing and hosting Angel City. Who you got in this one and why?
I like that you referenced the Challenge Cup because these two teams were in the same group in the West region, and Portland took the first win over Angel City 3-0, and then Angel City stole a Challenge Cup playoff spot from Portland with a 1-0 win for Angel City. And that's where we saw Kristen Press getting a penalty kick goal for Angel City. But between these two sides, frankly, Portland's been showing a lot. I mean, in the match against Chicago that Portland just tied 2-2, there was a little bit of consistency. I think Chicago outplayed Portland for a bit in that match, but it was really back and forth. However, Chicago went up both times, and then Portland came back from this one. And if Portland's having struggles scoring that first early goal, I don't know if Angel City is going to score that first early goal. So between these two sides, honestly, this is a pretty big matchup because Angel City is also coming off of a 0-1 loss to Gotham that they just suffered. This is probably my match of the weekend between Portland and Angel City. It's a late night on Friday at 10:30 between these two sides. I could see it as a draw. I'm not going to say draw though. I like to save these. I don't know why. I'm even dangling it out there. I think Portland's going to win this one. I think Portland wants to get back on the winning side of things. They're coming off of that 2-2 draw, and then before that they had another draw against Washington before they lost to Houston. So they haven't won in a handful of matches for Portland, and that's troublesome to me. This is a match that they know Angel City. They know how Freya Kuhn likes to set up. They know how dangerous Kristen Press can be. So I give Portland the win in this one.
Listen, I'm with you for all the reasons that you mentioned already. This is a match that I was maybe going back and forth a little bit on, but I'm not just going with Portland for all the reasons that you mentioned. I need to see a win from Portland.
Yeah.
I need to see it. We have not seen a win from this Portland side since April 30th, their home opener, their regular season opener, that 3-0 win against Kansas City. And it's just been a ton of draws, and they had that 2-0 loss against Houston as well, which was something a little bit of a quick turnaround for them. And they had a little trouble with at home. And then now coming off of this 2-2 draw against Chicago. And I believe I mentioned this in the recap of that 2-2 draw, that there was something about getting to watch this Portland Thorns side live and to get a bigger picture and see the actual full spectrum of this team and the things that they've have working for them are the things that they're still currently developing. I'm very impressed with Sam Coffey in the middle for them. I think that she's been, rising to the challenge in her first year. Not really seeing a struggle for me from me in terms of that making that leap to the pro level. I really do like what she's providing for them in the middle there. And I really like Sophia Smith and what we've been seeing from her in 2022. And I want to continue to see, her activity in the final third. I would like to see her, get a breakthrough on goal in this one in front of the home side. I'm not saying that this is going to be a match that's going to be this wild shootout, kind of big lopsided scoreline. I don't think so. I think what we've been seeing with teams that have a lot of familiarity with each other stemming from the Challenge Cup, we've seen things play out a little bit more tightly and a little bit more narrow in the score lines anyway. So I don't imagine that this one's going to be a real big lopsided score or a heavy score line, despite having some shooters on each side, whether it's a Smith or a Press or, whomever, a Charlie, a Sinclair, whoever's available going to be presenting in those attacks. But I'm just looking at Portland and hearing Coach Wilkinson talk a little bit in the post game as well, that there are just things that this team already knows that they just need to continue to implement moving forward. They know, she said, that we know that this is a transitional league and we can't do things like allow other players to get that, getting quick on us like they saw against like Malpew. So I'm eager to sort of see what they're going to take out of that draw and then kind of be able to present in this new one. And I'm going to be going with Portland Thorns in this match. I'm not going to put a scoreline on it, but it's going to be the match that's after dark. So 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you're on the East Coast, it's going to be a late one. So those tend to provide a lot of fireworks, and we'll see what happens. But we've got 4 matches to go through for Saturday. The quadruple header kicks off with Chicago Red Stars versus OL Reign Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Lisa, when you're looking at these two matching up, who do you got and why?
I'm going to go with Chicago. I'm giving you my pick up front here. They are coming off of the midweek match that we just talked about, and they tied 1-1. That's their second tie in a row. So Chicago, it needs to get back on the winning side of things. We saw limited minutes from Mallory Pugh. I expect to see more of her in this match against OL Reign, and that's she's a difference maker. She can score goals. She can get into the attack. And for a team like OL Reign, they're coming off of a win over San Diego, but they've struggled with scoring goals. They have. And despite the chances that OL Reign gets going up against a goalkeeper like Alyssa Nair for Chicago Red Stars, I don't see Nair giving up too many goals. Now, we talked about the set pieces for Chicago, and they've been struggling on them, whether it's corner kicks or set piece opportunities, free kicks around the box. And OL Reign has a lot of good players that can deliver a ball. I mean, they've got Sofia Huerta that is going to whip balls into the box constantly all night long. If there's a set piece, we'll most likely see Huerta taking this for OL Reign. However, Chicago now has been burned 3 times on set pieces. That's a conversation. I can guarantee you that they're watching film today. They're looking at their mistakes and marking up and how Sam Stott was able to get that goal against them last night. And I think that's an area that they're going to be extremely keyed in on this weekend against OL Reign. And I'm expecting more minutes from Mallory Pugh. And Chicago just creates more chances in front of the goal. Maybe they don't create more chances, but the chances that they create, they put them away. And OL Reign hasn't done that. So I'm giving the upper hand to Chicago in this match. And I know that you are happy about that, Sandra. But who do you have?
I'm thrilled to hear it. I love to hear it whenever you pick Chicago. Listen, I thought, am I going to have to do this again? Am I going to have to use my draw for Chicago? Am I going to have to use it for this match? And you know what? I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I did it for Chicago and Portland, and I was correct. And who knows? I might regret it in this
I could see this being a draw, frankly, but I just don't think Chicago's going to draw 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row.
It's 2 days of rest though. And you know what? It probably is just 2 days of rest. I would imagine there's not going to be a ton of high contact training. Maybe it's going to be more emphasis on recovery for a game like this, coming off of a game just so recently, and the facility in which they had that match at a place like Segra Field, where it was bad turf, ball bounces around everywhere, straight up, very difficult to play at times. I'm going with Chicago too. I'm going with a win, and I'm going to go Red Stars too. I'm with you. We've seen this team put together some pretty good performances, and I think what I've been most impressed with this Chicago Red Stars team in 2022 is that it doesn't matter who they're slotting in, because their system in 2022 is working. We saw a bunch of new faces get tagged with starts. We saw 2 players get their first ever NWSL regular season starts against Washington Spirit. And whoever they're plugging into their system knows their role, and they're executing it to the best of their ability. So I'm looking at this match, and I'm curious as to who is going to get the start, considering there was that midweek match. Is it going to be Pugh, who's going to maybe go 60 versus coming in the second half and going just 45? We'll see. We'll see when those lineups drop. But I'm liking the system so far for Chicago, and I'm looking at on the 2 opposite goalposts here. We're looking at Fallon Tillis-Joyce in one, and we're looking at Alyssa Nair in the other. These are 2 incredible goalkeepers right now in NWSL, and who knows? It could be a real low score line if it comes down to that. So we'll see, but I love that we're both going Red Stars.
And I think Mallory Pugh's going to start. I mean, she started against Portland 2 matches ago. She didn't start minute management midweek against Washington Spirit. Right. I think Pugh's going to get a start. I think she wants to start. I think she's ready to start. She's fit. Let's go. Put her in there, Chris Petroselli.
All right, we both got Chicago. Let's take a look at this next one. Gotham FC versus Washington Spirit, Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. This one is kicking off. Let's take a look. Let's break it down. We've got Gotham, who we have been talking about a lot in terms of their attack and what they're presenting out on the pitch, or lack thereof. And then we've got a Washington Spirit side again on a quick turnaround. Lisa, who you got in this one and why?
So we've picked all the same picks so far up until this point. Just as a heads up, Houston, Portland, and Chicago. I'm just not that confident in Gotham and what they can do. And anyone that listens to this or has been on here consistently knows that I'm not high on Gotham. I just don't think that they have any consistency in what they're doing. Their midfield continues to not be able to control games, and that's where games are won and lost. And looking just at the midfield for Gotham versus the midfield for Washington, I've been really impressed with Almer. And if Andy Sullivan is getting more minutes for Washington, they're going to continue this game. Washington playing so many games back to back. They've played midweek last weekend, midweek this week, and then this weekend game. That's a lot of games in a row, and we are starting to see the fatigue. We saw that in the midweek match against Chicago for Washington. But that doesn't stop them in their ability to still be dangerous and have those moments of incredible attacking presence. And defensively, we're seeing so many great things from Kingsbury in goal. I think Sonnet can do really well in possession for Washington. They can build out of the back, and they have Staub in central back as well. I give Washington Spirit this win over Gotham. I need to see more from Gotham in their consistency, and we haven't seen it. When Gotham's forwards get the ball, they're not taking advantage of the opportunities that they're given. They can get in behind back lines. They can get on a break and create really good scoring opportunities, but the ball, it's like their brains are a half step behind their bodies, or their bodies are a half step behind their brains, and the players aren't on the same page across the board. So I give Washington this one. For you, who do you have? Is Scott Parkinson going to get a win for Gotham?
Listen, I hear you 100%. I'm with you. I feel like when it comes to you and I hopping on A3 and we got to chat about Gotham, we're finding ourselves having to repeat ourselves when it comes to this team, because we're just not seeing the improvement. We're not really seeing the development. Now they had another tough one where they came out with the win, a narrow scoreline. But this is a team, when you're looking at some of their overall, the data around them. I mean, they're ranked last in the league right now, and even total touches on the ball. They're ranked last in expected goals. They're ranked last in expected assists, in their XA versus their XG. It's not something that is what did I preface it at in the last one? I said I asked us a question. I said, even though they won in their previous match, did we get any new answers to the constant questions that we keep asking of Gotham FC? And the answer was no, that we didn't. You said no. And I said, great. I also think no.
No.
The other thing that I'm looking at in this one, when it comes to making a pick, and I'm going to give it here, it's going to be, I've saved my draw for this one, but I'm going to tell you why. Something I was thinking about Portland and Angel City, I'm looking at with Gotham and Washington Spirit. Again, these are teams that are not unfamiliar with each other. We're just seeing this trend with teams who went head to head in the group stage in the Challenge Cup and how they're sort of playing each other in the regular season. I think that familiarity kind of prevents a little bit of a clog sometimes in the match. We got a Spirit side that is still dealing with some heavy match load. We're talking about another quick turnaround. I just don't know if there's going to be a winner in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if if it is a draw, if it's going to be a low score line, just because of maybe some of the fatigue that might come into play for the Spirit side and Gotham's inability to generate a lethal attack right now.
Yeah, completely. I mean, the goal that Gotham scored against Angel City was incredibly well struck by Ifeoma Amano, but it was defensive Angel City trying to build out of the back. They actually intercepted the ball and then trying to clear it out, and Gotham's able to win it back and just turn and score. It was almost like a turnover in a sense, but they have their generating attack is not there for Gotham. That's what they can't do that. They have scored on mistakes in the attacking end from their opponents. And I don't see a big mistake happening from Washington because they know that they're tired. They are tired. They've played a lot of games. So the build out from the back is either going to be incredibly simple or they're going to look to play long, but I don't see that because they've got tired legs. So Washington will look to build out of the back with Kingsbury starting it, and they'll play incredibly simple and force Gotham to chase up front, which Gotham can do. They've got the forwards to chase and do that.
Listen, and I would love to see it. I would. I'm over here making my pick as a draw, but I want to see that. I want to see the big
you went with lopsided
score line from Gotham. I'm still waiting to see. So we'll see. Hopefully this is a match to do it. But in terms of the pick, I'm going with the draw in this one. We've got Racing Louisville versus North Carolina Courage as our next match. That one is kicking off Saturday as well, 8 p.m. Eastern. Listen,
you go first in this one. Who are you picking in these two? I want to hear it.
I'm going to go with North Carolina Courage with these two. I said I went with Racing Louisville. I like what we've been seeing from them. I love what we've been seeing in some of the duos I said on their team. Mm-hmm. I'm liking what we're seeing out of Savannah DeMello. How she and Jalen Howe are kind of developing in this midfield together with Racing. I'm really liking what we're seeing between Lauren Millay and Jess McDonald. And they went on an undefeated streak there. And I said if they were going to make it to 5 undefeated in matches, that I was going to come on here and ring that bell and say, why aren't we talking more about Racing Louisville? But they dropped it. They dropped the ball. So I can't come on here and do that. But they're hosting this one in Racing. And I'm looking at this North Carolina Courage side, and they have struggled in their regular season. Some of the success that they had in Challenge Cup to kind of maybe translate that over into the regular season. And some of the challenges within that have been, not having a lot of time to develop a rhythm. They had the overlap due to the extended run that they made in Challenge Cup. They had a game postponed due to players out under COVID protocol. They've had a couple players out due to illness or injury or otherwise. It's tough to develop chemistry in your regular season when you kind of have some of these breaks within it. But a big thing for me, we don't have an update on Caroline, but it's something that I'm thinking about. I'm curious. She said she was going to be out for a few weeks, and it's June now. So she's been absent for the entire month of May for this team in the regular season.
Which is technically a few weeks.
So it's likely to be that the availability reports for these two teams will drop sometime on a Friday evening. And then we will have more clarity on that. But I gotta be frank, even without it, I'm gonna look at North Carolina Courage, and I gotta say that they are gonna maybe try to build off the point that they finally got, and then try to go ahead and build on that and get a win. I'm hopeful that somebody like Diana Ordonez can get in the back of the net again. So I'm going Courage in this one. How
I
about
like
you?
to hear your hope about North Carolina. I do, because they're a team that has a lot of hope. And I think that they do as well. And they know that they can build off of certain things. Without the availability report, this is a little bit difficult for me to pick. With
Yeah.
Caroline in the mix, I don't think that
Is this your draw?
this is my draw. This is my draw, completely my draw. So with Caroline in the mix, I don't think she'll get 90, right? Like
Right.
you don't go out that much and you've got to build yourself back up. So say Caroline is available, whether she starts or comes off the bench, it will help North Carolina. It'll give them a lift. I think I see goals in this one, maybe a 1-1, but this is definitely my draw. What we've seen from Racing Louisville has been good. Not just good, but really consistent, because not only are they scoring goals and able to do that, but they can also keep shutouts. And this is also a Racing Louisville team that knows that in order to win games, you have to get on the board and also keep a shutout. And that's what they've done in the games that they have won. 1-0 over Gotham. They did 1-0 over San Diego Wave. So the fact that they can keep a shutout is really promising to me, and also score goals. And we've seen Racing Louisville score goals in a variety of ways. They've forced own goals. They've scored goals on set pieces. They've done breakaway opportunities. They've seen shots from distance as well. So because of that, I'm going to go with a draw in this one. I know.
Listen, I respect it.
Yeah, I see a 1-1 draw. I'll even put a score line on it.
I respect it. Honestly, I think we are trying to do a good job of not always going with a draw. Maybe try to pick a winner or loser, but sometimes you gotta just settle for it. I'm with you. I think maybe this one could have had the makings of that. But let's close it out with this final match. We've got Kansas City Current versus San Diego Wave. This one's going to be kicking off at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. When we're looking at these two teams, Lisa, you got a winner in this one?
I do. I have San Diego winning. San Diego has been really fun to watch. This is a team that has proven that defensively that they can play well throughout the NWSL, which is not an easy thing to say. And they can also score goals. I mean, they're coming off of a loss to OL Reign that happened last weekend, but before that, they've scored a lot of goals in this season. And Kansas City is a team that's been struggling with getting on the board and staying on the board. I mean, when we look at their goals against, 9 for this year. So defensively, there's been some breakups from Kansas City. And if Alex Morgan can get on the back shoulder, San Diego has a lot of different attacking weapons that can score goals, that can get in behind. I think defensively, they're very sound. They're just getting stronger in their back with Dahlkemper, Gurma, and Sheridan. They've been at the top of the standings for the entirety of this regular season. And that's something that makes me think they're about to slip and start falling down a little bit, but not against Kansas City.
Yeah.
I honestly see a couple goals in this one, maybe like a 2-1, but I still have San Diego Wave taking the win in this match over Kansas City. But I mean, with players like Kristen Hamilton and Mace, Edmonds has also been doing tremendously well. Kansas City has a lot of really good rookies with Luera and Elise Bennett, but the consistency from those rookies isn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a bit more consistency from San Diego throughout this year. So I have the Wave in this one.
I'm with you 100%. I think while we were happy to see Kansas City find some success in the Challenge Cup, similar to North Carolina, they've struggled to make that transition into the regular season. So that hasn't really translated. And part of it, again, similar to North Carolina, could be the fact that they've been dealing with some key players who are missing. They know that they are going to be without Lynn Williams. That's not new. That's a season ending. Sam Mewis is someone who has, a little bit of a longer recovery. There was a moment in time in which players were impacted by COVID-19. So they have struggled to find a rhythm or generate a rhythm in this regular season as well. And while there are a ton of new pieces and new faces on Kansas City that I'm very excited about, whether it's Alex Loera or an Elise Bennett, I just don't think that's going to be enough in this game against a Wave side that's led by Casey Stoney and Alex Morgan.
Yeah.
At the moment. And honestly, coming off of that win, they finally got the breakthrough. They got their first 3 points of the season, but it was not a pretty impressive game from them going up against Racing Louisville. That match, we want to talk about a little bit of a slog. That one was absolutely a slog over the course of Memorial Day weekend. They only recorded 4 total shots, 2 on target, and then were able to get the breakthrough very, very early on a penalty. So it's
the third minute and a PK from Lola Bonta.
So
and it was a mistake by Racing Louisville to foul in the box.
I'm just not seeing it quite yet. I like the pieces, but I'm just not seeing it from Kansas City right now. So when I'm looking at the opposition, when I'm looking at San Diego, there's just more there for me. I'm very impressed with what we've seen out of Naomi Girma in the back line, sort of like this sort of wonderful spine that we're starting to see come to life for San Diego. It really does start with Sheridan and Girma, and it leads all the way up to the top to Alex Morgan. So I want to see more of that from San Diego, and I'm also going with them in a win in this one as well. So a lot of similarity for us in our picks in this one, Lisa. We've got a couple draws that, of course, were the combo breakers, but we'll see. We're going to be back here to recap these matches and see if we were correct or incorrect, and we always love chatting about if we were wrong or right. But thank you all so much for joining us